Vegetable growers say they're furious at Woolworths after the supermarket chain asked them to pay a charge to be involved in a promotional campaign involving the celebrity chef Jamie Oliver.
Growers say Woolies is demanding hundreds of thousands of dollars from farmers in the form of a 40-cent per crate charge, on top of charges already paid to the chain for marketing and promotion.
Senator Nick Xenophon is also getting involved in that campaign against Woolworths. In a statement, Woolworths says it's proud of the campaign and that it's disappointing that Senator Xenophon and AUSVEG didn't contact them before issuing this media release.
The supermarket chain goes on to say, "We could have explained that the contribution was entirely voluntary, how around half our suppliers chose to work with us on the campaign, which benefits the whole fruit and vegetable industry, and how participating growers are paying less than 2% of the cost of a case of produce."
We're joined now from our Melbourne studios by William Churchill, the acting CEO of AUSVEG, which lobbies for vegetable growers in Canberra. William Churchill, thanks for joining us. Why shouldn't farmers be thrilled to be involved in a campaign that potentially increases sales of fruit and veg in a supermarket?
Well, let's just try and set some of the facts straight here first. I mean, it's all very nice for Woolworths to say that it costs less than 2% of the production, but when you start to look at that 2% and what that actually means to the grower's bottom line, how much they make from selling the product, that 2%, it's actually more about 2.5%, and that money there and what that margin actually means to a grower is about 50% of the grower's profit. So, I think we've got to be a bit truthful about the numbers here, and what Woolworths are trying to serve up to people isn't the entire story. When it comes down to it, growers saw this as the writing on the wall, and they just thought, oh, bugger it, I've got to get in with this, otherwise I'm going to do my business damage and I mightn't get a new contract next year, or I mightn't get my orders next week. So growers felt compelled to comply because they have Woolworths as enormous customers to them, and what they really are saying, and they're saying it to AUSVEG, is that they don't want to pay more money on top of what they are already required to pay to fund this Jamie Oliver campaign. You just look at Woolworths, they made $1.3 billion in profit back in February. I'm pretty sure they could fund this campaign out of their own marketing funds and not keep going back to the growers' hip pocket and asking them to pay more.
Veggie growers do already pay an impost, don't they, to be involved with Woolworths in some degree and to have their products marketed?
They do. Growers pay between 2.5% and 5% already, which is taken off when they sell their product to Woolworths, and so whatever money they'll get back, that'll be 95% of what the product was actually worth, and that 5% goes towards promotional things like the junk mail you get into your letterbox or the fresh market update ads you see on TV, and that's what it goes towards. This new charge, this 40 cents a crate, that's above and beyond that to fund this new Jamie Oliver campaign. Now, while growers might be opting into the program, certainly they're not happy about it. I've had calls from around the entire country from growers saying they don't have 40 cents to give Woolworths, and this will push them back into the red, where they're trying to make some decent money to be able to keep on growing food for this country.
You speak of farmers getting involved in this campaign very much based on fear. Woolworths says about half its suppliers have chosen to get on board. What are you hearing from your members in terms of the proportions of them who are happy to get on board with this campaign, given that we're hearing so much about fast food marketing and junk food marketing, that perhaps this may be a good thing? Are some of them at least seeing this as a positive?
Well, look, if Woolworths want to trot out that they can say that 50% of their growers have opted into the campaign and they support it, well, that's a pretty low uptake, you think, for such a fantastic campaign that they're claiming it to be. Woolworths have a giant and enormous marketing budget of their own, and they can put this money from their own pocket into running campaigns to promote Jamie Oliver. Growers in Australia already contribute to those funds, and they do that contribution willingly, knowing that it's part of doing business with Woolworths. But to pay above and beyond that, it's a bit of a slap in the face when they're already paying the money. If you look at it, what's going to happen? If that's your profit margin that's been halved by this 40-cent levy that's being applied to growers, that's going to be money that isn't directed to or put away for a rainy day. So when the next flood, heavy rain or pest comes onto your crop and you lose product, they're going to probably get pushed to the wall. If not, they might get pushed out, and they say, well, it's too hard. I could have used that 40 cents, but I had to go and give it to Woolworths. So at the end of the day, they might go broke, but hey, at least we've got a good campaign. Now, that's not to say that the kids are to blame here. I know this is a campaign that's targeted at children, trying to get them to eat more vegetables, which we, of course, support. But doing it in this sort of manner, by slugging growers in the hip pocket, double dipping on them, it's certainly not the way it should be done. It's un-Australian and it's unfair.
AUSVEG is a leading horticultural body. You represent something like 9,000 vegetable and potato growers. What sort of power does the industry, does AUSVEG have to try to shift the tide, to try to shift this back in the growers' favour?
Well, the way that we operate is that growers can confidentially tell us the score, how things really are on the land. Woolworths have come out saying we've got 50% of our growers who have opted into this program. I've got growers around the entire country coming to me saying, I don't have the 40 cents to give them. This is going to cost me tens. Others growers said it's going to cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they don't want any part of it. But they're not in a position to push back on Woolworths and say no, out of fear of what would happen the next time they have to try and do business with these people. So where AUSVEG can fit in is that we can come out in the public forum and say, this is what is happening at the moment, right now, today in Australia, and then the court of public opinion will judge Woolworths on its behaviour, and consumers can change their behaviour and say, you know what, that's not cool, Woolworths, that's not how I want to see Australia's farmers supported. I'm going to take my business elsewhere. Thank you.
William Churchill from AUSVEG, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Turning overseas now, and the Mayor of Seattle in the United States has